Hey guys, it's Ashley. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be my super late July wrap up. So, a couple of stats before we get into all the books that I have read. I read 6 books in the month of July. 3 were 3 stars. I had 1 4-star and 2 5-star. I read 2 2018 releases. I read 2 graphic novels. 4 of the books were YA and 2 were adult, and all of them were written by women. So, to start off the month of July, I read Lumberjanes, Beware the Kitten Holly, which is volume 1. This is a graphic novel series, and one of the creators is Noelle Stevenson, who did Nimona, which, if you've been on my channel for a while, you know I loved Nimona. And this follows 5 friends as they have these crazy, outlandish adventures while at summer camp. This one was really boring, but I felt like it was the setup to the graphic novel series, and it had a lot of potential. I loved the relationships between all of our characters. Um, Also, the art style, the color choices. It's just a beautiful graphic novel to look at. So I'm going to continue on with it because I know that it has a lot of diversity further on down the line. I give it 3 stars. Then I read To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. This was in preparation for the movie that's supposed to be coming out this month or next month on Netflix. And this summer I tried to read a lot of fluffy contemporaries, and I really didn't get a lot of that, but this one fulfilled my needs. It was everything I wanted. I love the romance. I love the family aspect. Laura Jean and her sisters and her dad. I just loved it so much. But this book follows Laura Jean, who has a lot of crushes, and when she gets over the crush and she's ready to move on, she writes a letter kind of as a goodbye to this boy before she moves on, and something happens and her letters get sent out, and then she has to deal with the consequences. And I gave it 3 stars. It fed my need. It was okay. It wrapped up nicely for me, so I don't feel like I will be moving on to the final 2 books in the trilogy. I felt like there was no need. Like, I'm not wondering what happens next. Like, it wrapped up nicely for me. Then I read my first 2018 release, which was The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang, and I gave it 4 stars. This is a graphic novel following Prince Sebastian, who at night loves to dress in women's clothing and hit the streets of Paris as his fashion icon, and he strikes up a relationship with his dressmaker. I loved so much about this book. I loved the acceptance once it was revealed that Prince Sebastian likes to dress in women's clothing. His family was still there for him, supportive. We didn't have any bashing. Of course, we had a couple of like negative things being said by some townspeople, but as for his main support system, everybody accepted it. They loved him still. It was no problem. So I like that. I gave it 4 stars because it kind of felt like a to be continued type thing. Like, it didn't feel like a whole story. I wanted more. I wish it would have been a novel. Like, I feel like if it would have been a regular novel, I would have fallen in love with this. Then I read City of Lost Souls, which was my Cassandra Clare reread for the month, and I gave it 5 stars. It is like a new favorite of mine. I don't know what happened 2 years ago when I read it. I was very harsh, and I gave it 2 stars originally, but this time around it gripped me. It was action packed. I loved everything about it. It was so good. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about it because it is the 5th book in a series, but if you've been on my channel, you know how much I love the Mortal Instruments. Then my second 2018 book of the month was The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. I loved. Okay, Final Girls. Final Girls had me guessing, writing down like clues, trying to find out who did it. And I've never had that with a book. And I was just so excited when I found out Riley Sager was coming out with another book. Patiently waited for it, read it, and it was amazing. Not going to go into any details whatsoever because it's a thriller and most people don't want to know anything about a thriller. And last book was a book I read for Booktubeathon, and that was A Room by Emma Donahue. And I gave it this 3 stars. And I watched the movie as well. The movie's better. I think Room suffered from an oversimplification of what was going on because it was told solely through Jack, who is 5 years old, his point of view. And his mom's done a good she went through great lengths to protect him from what's actually happening in the real world. So it's very simple and you don't really get the hard hitting aspect that I think Emma Donahue was going for. At least I didn't. I got it more in the movie. I actually cried like 3 or 4 times in the movie because we more got to see. I'm tripping. Okay. We got to see more of what his mom was going through, having been kidnapped and held hostage in this shed for like 6 or 7 years. So that is it for my July wrap up. In the comments down below, let me know the favorite book that you read in July. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to, you can follow me on all of my social medias. Think about subscribing, hitting that bell button, be notified when I upload new content. And as always, until we meet again,